All right, so Wolverine is forced to come face to face with the metal that is stronger than adamantium in Adamantine. And this is setting up here for something incredible. Now, this is coming here out of the current Wolverine series by Saladin Ahmed with issues we're going to be covering here number 5, 6, and 7. Now, the last time that we covered this here, we saw where Lady Deathstrike, who is basically being possessed here by the Adamantine, she was basically trying to possess Wolverine. And that is where we pick up here in this one, with Wolverine currently right now laid out flat on the ground, hearing the chants from the Adamantine, which keep on saying, by the way, purify the false metal, purify the false metal. Of course, speaking of the adamantium in Wolverine's body. So Wolverine has to force himself to come back to, and when he does that, he realizes that his body is still on the mountain road right now where he was fighting Lady Deathstrike and also fighting Constrictor, but he still can't move his body, and he sees Constrictor and Lady Deathstrike just basically standing over him, just like watching him there. And then they both try to like push out this adamantine to try to get back into Wolverine's mind. But Wolverine was lucky right here in this moment, because the Wendigo that Wolverine has been babysitting here for the past like few issues, he comes out of nowhere here and begins to save, or saves I should say, Wolverine. So this Wendigo here ends up getting him up out of there after like biting off Constrictor's arm. I don't know, that thing just made me laugh a little bit here. And then they're forced to go hide to wait for some backup to come in. Now that backup here was Nightcrawler, who comes in with the Blackbird to save both him and the Wendigo. So Wolverine begins to tell him what basically happened here. He's like, listen, I was being attacked, and then he said that he felt something inside of his bones, because up until this point, Wolverine still doesn't really know what's going on here, to the point where Nightcrawler was just like, are you sure that's what you felt? And it wasn't like some sort of telepathic assault? But Wolverine's like, no, this felt more primal. And he's trying to figure out like, what in the world is going on here? Deathstrike clearly is not herself, and what would connect Deathstrike with Constrictor of all people? They got zero in common until he realizes, oh shoot, adamantium. So Wolverine now, what he wants to be able to do here, he wants to go and find Constrictor and go find Lady Deathstrike before they cause damage to anyone else. Now the good news is that Nightcrawler had picked up some energy signatures from them here. They were able to find them about 10 minutes later here. They were about to find them 2 states away. Now when they get to this location, all you see is just explosion and fire everywhere. And when they get down on the ground, Wolverine lets Nightcrawler know, he's like, listen, the broadcast said that this was an attack, not an accident. So Wolverine's like, listen, I'll do the hunting, I'll find out who caused this. You start focusing on teleporting the workers out of here to safety. And in the meantime, Wolverine sees this man running. He's like, oh, he killed them all. So of course, Wolverine's like, ooh. So Wolverine catches a scent here, which is like a chemical resin that is used to synthesize adamantium. But then he also catches another scent here, and guess who it is? It is Cyber. And this is weird for Wolverine, because he's like, the last time that he saw Cyber, like he whooped his ass, and Cyber ran away with his tail between his legs. So he's like, why does he look like this now? Why is he all gold? And when you look behind Cyber, there's a message written out in blood, and it says, no more adamantium. So Wolverine's like, WTF is this? Now, of course, this contributes even more right to Wolverine's hypothesis about how somebody's targeting everyone with adamantium. And I'm like, duh, you just figured this out, Wolverine? And he's piecing it together. He's like, the reason why they attacked in this particular location is because they're trying to stop more people who have adamantium from having adamantium. I probably could have said that much easier. They're trying to stop the production of adamantium. Is that clearer? My bad, y'all. But here's the thing, right? Wolverine goes to attack a Cyber, but then Cyber just puts up his hands, and then we start to hear the voice of the adamantine. It's like, you are deafened by the screeching of the false metal within you. You have not yet heard the call of adamantine. And this damn near drops Wolverine to his knees. And then once again, Wolverine is starting to go into this like illusion, and he's like, the world around me disappears again. And once more, I feel that presence in every one of my bones. The difference is, he says, is that he is ready for it this time, and now he's prepared to push back. So you start to see Wolverine trying to claw his ways here out of this illusion. But when he pops out of the illusion, he sees a Cyber collapsing like he cut him, and I'm like, okay, so when he was trying to fight out, he hit Cyber while he was in that illusion. But the thing here is that Wolverine's head now is pounding like crazy, and when Nightcrawler like pops in to try to help Logan, he's like, dude, like he's just on the ground like writhing in pain. And then in that moment again, again, Wolverine basically goes into another trance, and we can hear the voice of the Adamantine talking again, and it says, the other screeching wielders of false metal, they were weak, they were easily seized, but this one that makes no unnecessary noise is stronger, purer. Perhaps all the true champions have not crumbled into dust. Perhaps this one, called Wolverine, could serve its purpose, but only after he is broken. So when we pick up on Wolverine next here, what we see here is that all around him is currently darkness right now. But Wolverine is realizing, he's like, yo, this is not the natural low light that makes for like good night hunting, but it's like an inky nothingness where sight is impossible. And he can kind of sense where he is based on his senses here. He's like, I'm buried deep beneath the Earth's surface, and how the sounds down there are different than on the surface. And there's a ringing and a screeching sound that is coming into his ears. And he's hearing the ringing of the adamantine, the metal of the gods. And he hears the screeching of the man's false metal, adamantium. But then right in that moment, he also hears a voice calling out to him, Logan, Logan. And then he snaps out of it here and he sees Nightcrawler. So he's trying to figure out, he's like, yo, what the heck just happened? And Wolverine explains to Nightcrawler, he's like, listen, the last thing that I remember is going toe to toe with Cyber. But then Nightcrawler explains, it's like, you collapsed after that. And I'm afraid that he escaped while I was busy trying to evacuate the other workers. And Wolverine's like, yo, we need to find him now. But Nightcrawler's like, dude, that's fine and all, but what exactly is going on here? So this is what Wolverine explains to Nightcrawler. He's like, someone or something is trying to rid the planet of adamantium, and whatever it is has been killing anyone that gets in their way. But things get a little complicated here because the Wendigo that was on the Blackbird escaped through the Blackbird because of all the sense of blood that was going on here. So now they're on the hunt to go try to find the Wendigo. But when they find him, they also find Laura. You know, Laura Kinney, aka X-23, aka also the Wolverine right now as well. And she looks happy to see Wolverine, but she's also about to like kick the crap out of the Wendigo as well. So Wolverine has to step in and let her know, like, hey, this is a different type of Wendigo here. He's just a kid. I've been trying to protect him and all that good stuff. So then Wolverine begins to fill in Laura on what's been going on. He lets her know that like Cyber, Constrictor, Deathstrike, basically anyone with a look of adamantium has basically been going crazy. And he lets her know that the best that he can tell her is that they're trying to get rid of all the adamantium that is on Earth. I attacked this chemical plant here that produces resins used to make it. And then Laura explains, she's like, well, that kind of explains some things. She's like, yesterday a research institute in Cambridge was attacked, and now half a dozen scientists were killed, and how her following that trail is what brought her there. Laura also lets him know that like, hey, this is gonna sound crazy, but I've been feeling the call herself, literally in her bones, because she recently got adamantium added to her bones as well back in a previous X-Men comic. And Wolverine explains, he's like, that doesn't sound crazy at all. It's the same deal with him as well. And whatever's been calling to them, that Wolverine himself has gotten close to it, and a little bit too close for his comfort. And whatever it is as old as the Earth itself. How Deathstrike, Cyber, they had a name for it, and they called it the Adamantine. So now they're on the hunt here for where the next possible location where adamantium research is being done, or adamantium manufacturing is being done, where they can get to immediately. The next location that they seek here is in Arizona at a data center. And when they touch down, Wolverine smells blood, and lots of it. And when they get on the inside, oh my goodness, it is a absolute bloodbath in there. And as they run in, they can hear gunshots, they can see crushed skulls, they can hear claw marks, like they can hear all of this going on. So they know that Cyber, Constrictor, and Deathstrike, that they're working in tandem at this point. So both Wolvie and of course Laura, they work in tandem here, and they sense where all this activity is coming from. Now the first person to meet them is Donald Pierce, which is not a surprise because his cybernetics are coded in an adamantium finish. And they can tell by the eyes that this dude has also been infected with the adamantine as well. And dude starts going off on a chant, here it's called, and follow. And then he just like walks away from him. So then Wolverine and Laura just like, whoa, we gotta follow this dude. But when they go through the door that he went through, they're just like, yo, where did this dude go? And as they continue to wander on, because of all the fire and everything that's around them, it's making it hard for them to be able to catch a scent. But soon enough, as they go on further and further in, they catch up on everybody, not just Donald Pierce now, but there's Cyber, there's Constrictor, and there's also Lady Deathstrike as well. So Lady Deathstrike, she tries to claw at Wolverine's face. Constrictor gets his tentacles around Wolverine's neck here, dragging him down, and then tosses his behind too. Laura, she's getting yoked up here by Donald Pierce. Cyber is trying to look to go on the attack. And the thing about it is, like, each one of these adversaries here, this rogues gallery here for Wolverine, I mean, they're pretty dangerous on their own, but the fact that they now also have an adamantine on top of it, which is stronger than adamantium, like, it's crazy to think about, right? But what's even more dangerous is that these villains who would not work together on normal bases, now they're acting in a unified manner. And because of this, this puts them on, as Wolverine says, their back foot, until Laura reminds them of something, or reminds Wolverine of something, and they come up with the plan of, you go high, I go low. And although it's not the most dazzling combination ever, it does seem to be effective. So what that does is that it lands all of the adamantine folk on top of each other, looking as if though Wolverine and Laura, they got the advantage. But then the mood shifts because they hear another voice, and the voice says, oh, I think that's quite enough. But then at the same time, we start to see these 4 adamantine folk, they begin to stand up. And the voice continues to say, it's been a long time, Logan. The last time we met, you made a mistake. You let me live. Now I have come to wield a power you can't even comprehend. I am its prophet and its avatar. But you are weak and ignorant, and you are in my way. And Wolverine, he can recognize the voice, and you can see that rage beginning to bubble. And he's like, yo, that voice, it belongs to an old enemy. Emphasis on old. I'm no spring chicken, but the man emerging from the shadows is ancient. And Wolverine pops them claws again. And then we see who this voice is coming from, and it is Romulus. And he says, Wolverine, welcome to the last day of your life. So after Wolverine calls out Romulus's name, Laura begins to ask the question. She's like, yo, wait, is this the Romulus, the guy who claims to have founded Rome to be the origin of our bloodline? And Wolverine's like, yeah, you got a damn good memory. That's exactly who he says that he is. And how Romulus says nearly killed Wolverine more than once. And Laura's like, but he smells different than the others. More blood and less metal. So then Romulus responds, he's like, here, you guys are talking about me like I'm not standing right here? That's pretty rude. And not taking into account that, he's like, I'll teach you guys some manners. So then he jumps out with those claws and begins to go on the attack. But Laura can't understand. She's like, isn't this dude supposed to be riding away in some raft of some sort? But then Romulus explains, he's like, I was never really trapped in that place. But where exactly would I go? An ancient emperor living a low life in this pathetic modern world? Everywhere felt like a prison. So Wolverine's just cutting to the chase. He's like, someone's been going after adamantium itself, trying to rid the earth of it. And what do you, Romulus, have to do with it? So then Romulus explains, he's like, when I ruled Rome, I sent sages, spies, and soldiers in search of a primal power whispered about in secret. Codices, a buried power older than men, older than even the gods, a power that could make a man into a god. The text described this power as the primordial spirit of metal itself. They called it the adamantine. For all of my searching, though I never found it, figured it was lost to the world when the age of myth ended. But then you went and woke it up. You were the last straw, Logan. How does that feel? Now, what he's referring to here is back in issue number 1, when Wolverine and Cyber were fighting against each other. Because of those clangs, that is what woke up the adamantine that was buried under the earth. But what Wolverine is trying to figure out right now is like, how do you not sound like a zombie like how everybody else does? And Romulus responds back, he's like, because they are servants and I am sovereign. They are mere thralls of the adamantine, but I am its regent and its champion. The age of myth is returning, Logan, the return to the glory and grandeur of the old heroes of legend. But for that to happen, those who have taken their place must die. And in that moment, that's when the possessed adamantine people decide to wake up. And all this is gonna do right now is put Laura and Wolverine even more at a disadvantage because they start to get surrounded by them. And this starts an all-out brawl. Laura lands a sweet ass ass kick to Lady Deathstrike's face. Wolverine looks like he got constricted on ropes until Cyber comes and just flips his behind over. Romulus is getting ready to put the yank right now on Wolverine himself. Laura's getting decked at the same time, and you can see all that blood that's coming out of Wolverine's mouth right now. And then Romulus, just to add some icing on the cake, he jumps up after Wolverine's been thrown to the ground and man just decks him right in the face. But Wolverine, you know, he's ever the fighter, right? So he comes back, claws Romulus right in the kisser. But Romulus is like, hold on, Wolverine, you're as strong as ever, but you're still a pup. You've never known what to do with your strength, but the adamantine, that will show you. And then he puts his hands out and the ground begins to shake and crumble. And he tells Wolverine, it's like, we've been summoned. And Laura's like, what the hell is going on? But she can't do anything because right now she's being surrounded and wrapped up by the other four. And Wolverine, he feels himself sliding downward. And he mentions how it's through dirt and rock and it feels wrong on his skin. It feels alive. And then he feels the air rushing past him and a fall that's a good as 6 stories down before he hits the ground. And it hurts. It hurts real good. And before his sight could even register anything, his other senses tell him that he's in a cavern below the facility. And Wolverine's thinking to himself, he's like, hold on, like magic sinkholes? That was not usually Romulus's skill set here. Like, what's going on? And he's thinking, okay, this got to be a level up here from this adamantine that is coating over his skin right now. And he's like, yo, it makes sense. Power's all that Romulus has ever really cared about. Anything that would make him stronger. And when he sees Romulus again, this dude is fully coated in gold. That hair almost got this man looking like he's Super Saiyan. And he jumps out and he goes after to attack Wolverine. And then Wolverine pops his claws and he's trying to slice at Romulus. But here's the thing about it, that gold metal, you can't pierce it with the adamantium. And then Wolverine begins to explain, he's like, adamantine, the metal of the gods. And has memory served, it's the stuff that Hercules' club, his mace, is made from. It hits hard too, as you can see Wolverine getting decked. Think about this, right? Romulus, as strong as he is already, decking Wolverine with the fully coated adamantine. Oh my goodness, that must have hurt. And Wolverine continues to mention, he's like, Romulus is a warrior. He's been killing people since before Jesus was born. And he's damn good at it. His ambition has always been off the charts. Half his beef with him, or with Wolverine, I should say, is a simple fact that Wolverine doesn't want to be world conquering buddies with him. But now he's found a new friend, the adamantine, one even more ancient than he is. And even while Wolverine is fighting here and his mind is struggling to put the pieces together, well, he doesn't really have much time because now he can feel the adamantine claws are piercing through his guts. And that's beginning to start to mingle with Wolverine's blood as well. And Romulus, this is when he starts to speak. He's like, you can feel it, even as we fight, Logan. You can sense it deep within the earth, in the place where metal is born. You're there, untold ages ago. Smell the cooling earth. Experience the spirit of metal itself, the adamantine being birthed. Feel yourself all those ages ago and recall that you were nothing but potential, an undeveloped infant that existed but didn't live. And recall with rapture the age of myth, when the gods discovered you and taught you purpose. Remember the ring of Asbestos' hammer as it shaped the aimless adamantine into something that mattered. The helm of Hades, the axe of Pluto, Hercules' golden mace. For an age, your marital song rang out in the hands of gods and heroes, metal pure and true wielded by the worthy. Now recall the passing of the age of myth, how weary and ready for rest the adamantine had grown, how you slumbered contentedly, dreaming of deeds of valor, until your slumber was pierced by a slivery screech, the sounds of a new metal not born of the earth, but made by men with soft hands, the din of a new metal with a stolen name, the false rarest metal of a fallen age, adamantium. Like a plague, this man-made metal has spread, poisoning the earth with its untruth. For years, the noise of it has grown louder and louder to the adamantine, and thanks to you, that din has finally grown loud enough to wake it. And then Romulus continues, he's like, the sad little thralls above have served their purpose, and so the adamantine reclaims the gifts it granted them. All of its power is mine to wield now. And in this moment, Wolverine realizes that Romulus surges with strength, like he's been turbo boosted. And the best that Wolverine can tell is that he's absorbing the golden metal from the lowlifes upstairs, as he calls them. And Wolverine mentions how he moves like lightning while he's still trying to figure out where Romulus ends and adamantine begins. And he's realizing right now that he might be in trouble. And Romulus says, the power of the gods, Logan, this is just a taste. And the only thing standing in the way of my becoming a deity is you, as he holds Wolverine's face right in his hands with his claws ready to strike. So this right here is setting up what we're supposed to be getting in the very next issue, Wolverine's Legacy number 400 issue, and technically Wolverine number 8 issue here from this current Wolverine series. This is supposed to be a big one here, where Wolverine is going to be in the fight of his life right now, trying to face off here against the Living Adamantine. Listen, what do you think here about this particular story so far? Obviously, we've been covering there since issue 1, so if you want to kind of follow up on what's transpired up until this point, there's going to be a playlist here that's going to be down below in the description. Listen, if you can do us a favor here and leave a like on this video for the YouTube algorithm. Also, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Ring that notification bell. And also, if you're looking to support us here at Keepin' It Comic, we do have a Patreon link that's down below in the description as well. We would love your support. You can join our Patreon here at our lowest tier, which will give you exclusive access here within our Discord, and our higher tiers unlock other exclusive benefits. We appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for always kicking it with Keepin' It Comic. Bye!